So, there were some changes made. A couple of blue posts went out the other day. Upcoming changes to the double legendary acquisition in patch 9.2. There's also, as far as I can gather, there's some massive misconceptions about this as well. So Blizzard has posted their thoughts on the double legendaries in patch 9.2, covering some upcoming changes to the acquisition and why there's a delay in acquiring the double legendaries at all. We're going to first we're going to read what Blizzard said. Then we're going to read what Blizzard said. Then we're going to translate that into real talk, because these are PR. These are PR pieces. We'll read what Blizzard said, then we'll translate it to what was actually true, and then we'll see what people are looking at it from it. So, the main summary of this is that legendaries are no longer going to require See, this is it. Double legendaries will no longer require reputation to unlock the legendary belt. Instead, unlocking it automatically at the end of Chapter 7. This is misleading. Congratulations, Wowhead. You are providing misleading information again. Yes. I mean, they've tried to emphasize it, but they haven't emphasized it enough, right? Double legendaries will no longer require reputation is not true. It is not true. It is only the fact that you don't need the reputation to unlock the legendary belt. You don't need reputation to unlock the legendary belt. If you wish to equip a second legendary on your ult, though, you will still need to do the reputation to unlock the memory. The memory is still reputation locked. The memory still requires revered reputation, and also. So this is an additional. This is something else that they've slapped on top of it. This isn't them stepping back and saying, you know what, guys, you were right. This is them adding to it. So previously, you only needed to get to revered. Now you need to get to revered, and you need to have completed the campaign, which in theory shouldn't be a problem, but it's still them turning around and fixing a problem by giving you more to do to achieve it, which nobody really noticed, which I thought was quite funny. But either way, the way this happens is that, you know, the first week of 9.2, we'll have the first 3 chapters to play through. The first 3 chapters are basically just an introduction, a bit of a tutorial mode for Zereth Mortis, introducing you to the Cypher system and whatever. So the first three chapters come in the first week. Heroic unlocks in week 2 when we get access to chapter 4. Week 3, Mythic unlocks, and we'll also have chapter 5. It's not going to be until week 3 of Mythic, so potentially we would assume anyway that by the time the Race to World First is over, people will be able to complete chapter 7, and then they will have access to the legendary belt. You know, that dum-dum level legendary belt that I've been suggesting that everybody ignore because it's dum-dum level. Sure, if it was free, great, but it's not even free. You still have to spend 2,500 cosmic flux on it. So it's really not a great acquisition. Now, if they just give it to you, and it is actually genuinely a reward from, you know, a quest reward, they give you the belt, then cool, sure, fine. People excited about the belt in the comments. It blows my mind. Yeah, see, this is it. This is it. People don't tend not to look at the big picture. But anyway, look, what did Blizzard say? What did actually Blizzard say on the point? So, Chapter 7 will be available on the 3rd week after the Mythic Raid opens. So, week 5. This is very deliberate how they... like I said, we'll read what Blizzard said, and then we'll translate it. Because it's super clever how they quote this, right? Chapter 7 will be available on the 3rd week after Mythic Raid opens. So there'll be 2 full weeks of Mythic Raiding, during to which nobody can have 2 legendaries. After which they should be available to everybody. Right, let's translate this real quick. What people are going to read is going to be very different to what Blizzard have actually said here. Chapter 7 will be available on the 3rd week. That is about as far as most people will read. Chapter 7 will be available on the 3rd week. They will have gone, oh, so we need to do Chapter 7. Cool. Then we get the Legendary Belt. Bang. Chapter 7 will be available on the 3rd week. That's where people's brain stops, right? But it's the 3rd week after the Mythic Raid opens. So what that actually means is it will be available on the 5th week. Now, the reason they phrase it like this, because if they tell people, if they outwardly say it's going to be available on the 5th week, guess what people turn around and say? Very quickly, when you say 5th week, people are like, oh, so you mean I have to sub for 2 months? Getting that extra sub in there, Blizzard, are we? Ah, see? See? If they say 3rd week, that's where people's brain stops, and they don't put 2 and 2 together, that they're actually time gating the acquisition of the legendary, of being able to equip 2 legendaries behind not just you resubbing, but you resubbing for another month as well. It's super clever how they do this. 7 levels of sneaky. So they deliberately phrase it, 3rd week after Mythic Raid opens. So actually the 5th week. Just in time for you to, subscribe for another month again. Get that extra month sub out of you. Very clever, Blizzard. Well done. You kind of have to translate these things occasionally. Let's move on, though. Hello, all. Thanks for your feedback on the Enlightened Legendary Belt and Memories, and on the issue of when you can obtain them and what activities they require. We have some changes coming to a future PTR build that we'd like to talk about a bit. First of all, what are we doing? The Belt of Unity is moving from the Enlightened reputation into the campaign quest for Zereth Mortis. This to me indicates that it will also then no longer have the 2,500 goal, 2,500 flux cost. So this is definitely a bonus, right? One thing I said about the Legendary Belt is the reason it's such a bad... It would be such a bad choice for most players is because it costs flux. And it doesn't just cost some flux, it costs quite a lot of flux. The Legendary Belt is not actually a very good item. It's only 3 item levels higher than a rank 6 Legendary is right now. Rank 7 is going to be significantly higher item level and significantly better because of that. You are going to want to, at least long term, acquire the memory to then craft the Unity at rank 7. You'll be able to obtain it at the end of Chapter 7, the Zereth Mortis campaign, which we hope will feel like a nice crowning achievement. The memory of Unity is remaining on the Enlightened reputation vendor. So it's a crowning accomplishment that you're going to get a mediocre at best Legendary Belt that sure will give you the second Covenant power, but it's definitely not going to be itemized or on anybody's BIS list, not even close. The Memory of Unity is still remaining on the vendor and will remain an account-wide unlock like the other legendary memories from Shadowlands. So, a legendary purple belt, yeah, exactly. So, what people are very quickly coming to the conclusion with is like, oh, thank God I don't need a rep grind anymore. When they actually don't realise that, yes, you most definitely still need to do the rep grind, because what you actually want to make it truly account-wide, you need the memory, right? You have to have the memory. You're not, like, nothing about it is account-wide until you have the memory, which is still a reputation grind. This is how it seems to be, you see, and will remain an account-wide unlock like other legendary memories from Shadowlands. So people have already come to the conclusion in their head, incorrectly I should say, that, oh, we just do the campaign, we unlock double legendaries, and then I can use double legendaries on all my ults. No, not true. You are still going to need to do the rep grind at least once, because it's the memory that you actually need to make it truly account-wide. It's really frustrating that they communicate things in this way, because it's just not clear. It's just not clear. Anyway, the memory means that when your 2nd, 3rd or 10th character is ready to start Eternity's End, they'll be able to craft Enlightened Legendary right away. The new questing requirement is being added to head off any feelings need to rush to Revered. You still... Yeah, you see? This is another PR piece. The new quest requirement is being added to head off the feeling of needing to rush ahead to Revered. Once again, that's where people's brain stops. The important bit is the last 5 words of the sentence. For your progression on your main character. If you want alts to have access to double legendaries, you still need Revered. It's not that people can escape being Revered. So all the raiders out there that are like, oh, thank fuck, I don't need to do Zereth Mortis anymore, I can just raid log. No, you still need to do it. This is the annoyance of the whole thing. We're also still debating some other possible changes to the overall structure of Zereth Mortis rewards, but I don't have concrete details to share on those yet. Some folks have asked why there is a delay in acquiring the second legendary at all. You ready for the PR piece? Are you ready for the public relations answer? The answer there is that we have goals for your characters to grow over the course of the patch, allowing them to overcome challenges they couldn't initially overcome. One specific example here is the difficulty of the Scepter of the first ones. By keeping the Enlightened Legendary a little bit in the future from the raid's launch, we can tune the raid at a difficulty that allows earlier progression to be bolstered by additional power once players start hitting stumbling blocks. If this power was available to your character the first day, tuning would have to take that into account for people who expect the first few weeks to be challenging, and that in turn would deprive many raids of what they think to be a fun and enjoyable boost in power after striving as far as they can without it. This is 7 levels of BS. This is 7 levels of BS. Sorry, Blizz, I have to call you out on this. This is just complete garbo. Actual garbo. The reason that they are delaying the legendary to week 5 is so that they get a second sub out of you. There's no other answer to it. Now, I know that's cynical, and I know people will probably disagree with me. But the reason that they've delayed it until week 5, it's very specific. I mean, they've shown their 5 aces by deliberately phrasing it in this fashion to begin with. To deceptively make people think that they get it in the 3rd week when actually it's the 5th week, to distract from the fact that you're going to need to sub for a second month before you even get your second legendary. To say that it's to balance out, it's just tune the raid properly, guys. Honestly, just tune the raid properly. Make one boss slightly more difficult than the next boss. Actually, it makes it more difficult to tune if you throw in a random power spike halfway through. Madness. It's just garbo. Actually garbo. This is just, you know, this is smoke and mirrors to detract you from the fact that they just want a second month sub out of you. It's really quite simple. Tuning over time really hasn't been a problem before. ICC had a stacking buff. In MOP you could upgrade gear with Valor. Yeah, this is just straight up smoke and mirrors. That they want that second month sub out of you, and putting the unlock of one of what many would, you know, argue is one of the key features of patch 9.2, the fact that you're going to be able to equip a second legendary, but you can't do it until you've given us at least your second month subscription. Would you class double Legos as a patch feature or a reward? I mean, it's primarily a patch feature in my eyes. It's not a great one, but I mean, it is a patch feature. It's literally been something. One of the very first questions that was ever asked when we started to see the legendaries being implemented on the Shadowlands beta was, when are we going to be able to equip more than one of them? That was literally the very, very first question that was ever asked about this legendary system. This looks cool, but how many can I equip and when can I equip them? It is quite clearly Blizzard have taken that information. They've worked out that the community feels that this equipping more than one legendary became an important thing to people. And so they're going to, you know, they're going to cash in on that as much as humanly possible. Almost every tier has that type of buff to the player or nerf to the raid. Yeah, they either just put a passive weekly debuff to the raid, which is equally not super duper creative, but I mean it does the same thing. Go for. I'm not reading the comments. Not even for the content. I know this is going to be one where the comments are going to trigger me, so I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. But either way, in some regards, this is a good thing. It's a good thing because it takes off the pressure of having to zerg to revered. It takes the pressure off a little bit because it basically means you have 5 weeks to get to revered. It allows for you to... You're still going to have to be really quite active to get to revered in that amount of time. If everything stays in a similar fashion to as it is now, people have already calculated that to get to revered could quite easily take you like 25 days of actual, 100% completed content. So it's still going to be quite tight. People are still going to need to be in Zereth Mortis, doing daily quests, farming up that reputation every day. It just gives them a little bit more flexibility to maybe take a day off, maybe miss that odd world quest or two. But it should basically work out that by the time you complete Chapter 7 of the campaign, you are, if not already revered, you will be very close to revered, as long as you're staying, up, keeping up with it. But actually, in reality, all it is actually doing is adding an additional requirement to getting it than it just being on a vendor, in the fact that you actually have to complete the campaign as well, which you should want to anyway. The logic stands that the main campaign should be something you want to do at least for the first time anyway. So I don't see it being too much of a problem. But yeah. How does this reflect for goblins, though? For those that are looking to craft and sell these rank 7 legendaries, the new rank 7 legendaries. Well, in my mind, what it does is it puts a big emphasis on rank 6 still. It's going to mean that rank 6, we have basically what will be 5 weeks. Well, let me put it this way. The Tome of Origins is going to be unlocked in either Chapter 4 or Chapter 5. The order of the chapters isn't quite solidified on the PTR by the looks of things right now. We know that in either week 2 or week 3, we're going to get the ability to craft rank 7s. Now, crafting rank 7s doesn't mean shit until people have the ability to actually upgrade them. Now, people will probably be upgrading their current rank 6 to rank 7 at about this time. And then, of course, once week 5 rolls round, it's actually, open season again for rank 7s. We're going to get 2 hits of it. As I've said for a while, people no longer have the necessity to just buy and upgrade 1 legendary. They're heavily incentivized to buy and upgrade 2 legendaries in this patch. So massive, massive news for goblins. But this is good because it spreads it out a little bit. People are going to upgrade there, and it's deterministic. We know that, on week 5 reset, when people get access to this memory, there is going to be a monstrous amount of people that will be looking to buy a rank 7 base item to get their unity in the right slot at rank 7 and get it done. They'll have probably by that point already bought 1 rank 7 to upgrade their regular legendary, and they'll have done that in the first couple of weeks as soon as the rank 7 base items appear, and then they'll be trying to buy another one a couple of weeks later. So it does mean, though, that the first couple of weeks we're probably still going to see big demand for rank 6s. And you might even find that people will buy a rank 6 in preparation because people don't know how the system works. It's going to be very interesting times for a goblin selling high base item legendaries. I'm going to look forward to it a lot. Lots of cancel scanning, lots of profits, lots of big mailboxes. It should be good.